Well, welcome back to another
Yeah.
episode of
And
G&T
tea.
Sips and Giggles, one for
What?
the road,
What?
where the tea is always piping hot, the laughs are somewhat loud, and the opinions, well, they're practically vintage. Right?
Like me, darling. I'm Tina Leggs Tantrum, 57, going on fabulous, fueled by Pinot Grigio and pure pettiness. On today's episode, we're unpacking the glittering chaos of mid-century modern Prince Harry's Royal Rumble, Britain's obsession with the weather, sunglasses, summer dress, and the glorious mess that is Celebrity Big Brother 2025. Buckle in, babes.
Glenn, tech nerd by day, podcast queen by night.
So stick with us. It's nostalgia, nobility, and nasal spray all in one tidy little episode.
Intro. Well, welcome back, Lexi. You are a vision. You are a vision in summer get up. How have you been?
Oh, I have been absolutely marvelous. My recovery is just gorgeous and fabulous and really, really good. I feel amazing.
You look amazing.
I actually feel so good. I feel so good. Honest to mighty God. What about you? How are you, love?
I'm good. Today marks the 3-month mark since my hair transplant, and you can sort of
Wow.
see, look, I've actually got a hairline. Now, it's
Dip it down further,
it's
honey,
still,
further. Wow.
it is still growing.
Oh,
For
Glenn.
the benefit of those people listening and not watching, Tina can see I actually have a hairline. My hairline,
You have a hairline?
it used to be about 2 inches higher. It used to be about here. I literally used to
Wow.
have no fringe, and now I've
Mm-hmm.
actually got a hairline. So this is terribly exciting. So 3 months today. I cannot wait to see what the next 3 months looks like.
Wow.
But
Oh, my
anyway,
word. I'm going to end up having to put some of my ponytails and French plaits and swinging you by the hair when we're out on the G&T.
so I still maintain I can't wait until I do the whole, the whole flicking of the
Oh,
fringe thing and pretending to
God.
tuck it behind my ear.
I see you doing that. I will clip your wings, wee girl. I'm telling you. I know you're gay, but you're not that gay. you know that.
But
Even
listen,
the
what a week it's been.
Oh.
I wanted to catch up with you because you know me, I'm always looking for the next gayest thing. And Tina,
Mhm.
I think I have found it. So we were sitting watching Disney Plus last night, and
Okay.
Gary happened to mention to me that there's a brand new sitcom, brand new, like literally just released. It's on Disney
Okay.
Plus under the Star section, and it's called Mid-Century Modern.
I've
Now,
never heard of it.
I appreciate you might not have heard of it, but this is the reason why I needed to talk to you today about it,
Okay.
because basically what they're saying about it is like a modern day Golden Girls. Now, I know that there's a lot of people
You
out
are
there that like
joking
the
me.
Golden Girls. Here's the twist. All right. Let
Okay.
me tell you about the premise and the actual setting. So it's set in Palm Springs, similar,
Fab.
I believe,
Lovely.
to sort of the Golden Girl era. It's basically a hub for mid-century architecture and all things LGBTQIA plus culture. Now, rather than it being a bunch of ladies, it actually follows 3 older gay friends, and they're men. And the characters are called Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur. And they basically decide to live together following a tragedy of a friend of theirs who had passed away.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
Bunny's mother, I have to say, Bunny is like in his 60s, and his mother, Sybil, also lives along with them, which adds to the family
Right.
dynamics. Now, you'll get the kind of the feel here, because if we sort of draw this back to like a modern day Golden Girls, we had 3 elderly retiree friends who all lived
Yes.
together with one
Yeah.
of their mothers.
Yes.
The cast and characters, you will know them. You might just not pick up on all of the names, but trust me, if you see them, you'll go, I recognize him. I recognize him, and so on.
Yeah.
So you've got the actor called Nathan Lane. He plays the character of Bunny Schneiderman. You've got Matt
Okay.
Bomer, and he's Jerry Frank. Now, his character left the Mormon church after coming out. He's pretty much the sort of like the bimbo gay, the really hot, hunky one, but doesn't really have a lot going on upstairs. Do you know it that
Okay.
way?
Yeah, the ham is missing in the sandwich.
Exactly.
Okay, right.
And then we've got the actor of Nathan Lee Graham, who plays Arthur Broussard. And
Right.
then you've got the actress Linda Lavin, who plays Sybil. Now, this was her final TV role, but unfortunately, she passed away in 2024. But
Oh.
here's the real crux of this. The
Mm-hmm.
show is actually created by the guys that brought us Will and Grace. So Matt Muchnick and David Cohan, they basically come up with the concept for Will and Grace way back in the early noughties, and indeed part of the reboot. And they are now the creators behind this. So it's kind of got that real Will and Grace kind of feel to it, except with brand new characters. Now, I have to say, I watched the
Wow.
very first episode and the characters were a bit wooden, only because I imagine it's a pilot. They're still trying to figure stuff out,
Yes.
but it's being directed by James Burrows. Now, this is a bit of fan trivia. Jim Burrows also directed every episode of Cheers, and he also directed every single episode of Will and Grace. So it's kind of like really given me Will and Grace vibes.
Yeah.
Do you know that way?
It's
But
well, with that team behind it, they're
yeah,
obviously determined because it's not going to, well, it'll have that. I hope that it has that Cheers and Will and Grace essence.
does
You
Tina?
know,
It does.
yeah, it's going to have that essence. And, if they're doing a pilot and it's going to lead, because Will and Grace to me personally got better and better and better. The same as the Golden Girls got
Yeah,
better and better. And wasn't it only until people started to talk about it like we are now,
yeah.
I haven't heard of it. And with this information, I'm going, what channel is it on again? What time is it on
So,
at?
so
Wow.
So Matt Bomer did actually
Mm-hmm.
describe it as the Golden Girls' spiritual cousin. So that kind of the feel that they're going for. And I know that the Golden Girls has such a big following. I don't want to say it's like the Golden Girls because the Golden Girls is untouchable, right? But it
Yeah, it
has
is.
that kind of feel to it. And I think it's a lot of relatable stories focusing on, your chosen family, talks about
Yep.
aging and also friendship, queer spaces as well. Now, it did premiere. There's 10 episodes. It's on Disney Plus Star. So when you go into Disney
Right.
Plus, you click on the Star section. It premiered on the 28th of March. So it's brand new.
Spanking.
Spanking. And the reviews are really positive, which has been great. The critics are really liking it. They're
Oh,
basically reviewing
good.
it, saying, it's got heart. There's a lot of warmth to it. There's good
Mm-hmm.
humor, and it's a funny portrayal of older gay men. And it does also reflect the cultural shift towards a more diverse LGBTQIA storytelling as well.
Excellent.
But I am super stoked. I've watched the first two episodes. I wanted to watch more, but Gary had to go to sleep and I was told I wasn't allowed to watch on. So we have to watch it together. So I'm bursting to see the rest of it. But I guess I wanted to talk about that because I was a little bit surprised that something like this has came around again. I thought this kind of era of sitcom had gone. Do you know that way? We
Yeah,
lost Friends, we lost Will and Grace, we lost all those kind of shows. Do you know what I mean?
well, I think we did because it was probably the right time
Mm,
because there was so many really, really good ones.
mm,
And what I have found in the last number of years was a lot of even the soaps, your Emmerdale, your Coronation Street, they're all death, doom, and disaster.
yeah,
And there's very little comedy on now. There's very little lightheartedness, and there's very little kind of sort of tongue-in-cheek, double entendre, gay, not even gay, but just real good classic kind of sort of sit down with your friends, with your family, even with your work colleagues. And Ally McBeal was another one.
yeah, yeah.
And they all kind of went, but I think it was time for them to go. But what has happened in the last 4 or 5 years there hasn't been anything even to equal.
There hasn't. I think
It's all,
the last thing was like Big Bang Theory and those
yeah.
kind of like we have had stuff recently, but there's just as you say, like, I feel that within the last 5, 6 years we kind of lost all of
Mm,
that. And
yeah.
here's another bit of trivia for you. They're
Okay.
actually shooting it in front of a live studio audience, which hasn't been done since Will and Grace.
Wow.
So they really are trying to throw a lot of the kind of the Will and Grace clout behind it, you know, that way.
Yeah, no, no, no. I'm so glad to hear this because it's doing the cockles in my heart the very best because it
Mm,
makes me happy. And yes, obviously because it's got LGBTQ plus storytelling in it as well. Because I think the more when something is portrayed in this manner, it's a nice, easy, open, soft invitation for people to sit even on their own
yeah,
and watch the older members of our community represent us because that is us,
yeah,
and reflection and family and certain situations, but it's all dressed with the best one-liners, comedy,
yeah,
and just real kind of, oh my god, I'm going to use that, oh my god, and a real
yeah,
good positive talking point as well, like this is right now. I
yeah.
mean, it's just so good, so good. I'm so glad to hear it. I mean, we've moved on from Dynasty and Dallas and Knots Landing and all back in the day when
I
I
feel
was.
that shows like this though are sort of coming back around again. Like they're just
Yes.
we're given this we're going to really probably cover the same kind of storytelling that was
Yeah.
told way back then, just through a
Mm.
different lens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that we do see more like those old shows, like Dallas
Oh
and Dynasty
God,
and
yes.
Golden Girls and
Yes.
so on. You know.
Yeah, I mean the costumes in Dynasty and Dallas, the shoulder pads, the big hair, the massive lips,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and I just loved all that obscene kind of over the top, everything was just way too much. The Joan Collins and Crystal Carrington and all the big characters and I just think that we need more
yeah.
because it's fun and it's easy on the eye and it's easy on the ear and it just then I think when we watch and experience things like this new program that's coming on now, what's it called again?
It's called Mid-Century Modern.
See, mid-century but yet modern. It
Hmm.
creates really good positive talking points.
Yeah.
You're sitting in there having a cup of tea or you're having a little gin and wild berry. And you just want to talk because you want to giggle, have you seen such and such? And,
Yeah.
it brings like real connection. It's like when Friends first started, did you see, all of that? Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. Disney Star Plus.
Disney Plus star. Now, I do hope that it isn't just sort of something that ends up being on Disney. I do hope that Channel 4, who, by the way, was the first to pioneer Will and Grace, they were first to
Yeah.
pioneer Friends, and all of those kind of sitcoms. I'm hoping that Channel
Mm-hmm.
4 picks it up because I feel a lot of people need to see this. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
a big show. Hopefully, they renew it for a second season and they give it a longer run. Right now, there's only 10 episodes. But I'm hopeful that we get a full 24, so episode run for season two.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think that we will because obviously people need to sign up and then they're paying to view as well, so
Yeah,
you have to take into account the cost. But it's like everything else, you pay for what you get.
yeah,
And if you're going to get something that's going to make you feel really good and make you laugh your leg off, doesn't matter regardless of whether you're gay, you're straight, whatever. It's comedy.
yeah,
It's a good old fashioned modern day comedy,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I mean, the best thing we gays can do is laugh at ourselves first, then we're inviting the world to laugh with us, you
100%,
know? And it
100%.
would be so good to see a few more of these pop up.
Yeah. Well, I'm I'm
I would
I'm
love to
I'm
see it.
excited. I'm excited to see whether or not there's any kind of monologues that any of you queens can come up with for, a show as it goes on, because there's bound to be
Right.
tidbits in there that you guys can use.
Yeah,
But
there definitely is.
but
Definitely.
anyway,
There will be. There will be. I mean, the Karen Walker skits that everybody done on stage, they done the
yeah,
voiceovers, the lip syncs, yeah, and they were brilliant. Nobody ever
yeah,
really done the other three characters. I think Karen kind of stole the show for me.
yeah. I
And
agree.
I also and it's kind of like you remember, Sex in the City?
Hmm.
Everybody
Samantha.
loves Samantha.
100, I knew you were going to say that. 100%. I get it.
And
I
that's
totally get it.
that's why there was that massive grudge against the character Samantha
Kim
with Sarah
Cattrall
Jessica
and Sarah
Parker,
Jessica
Kim
Parker.
Cattrall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They never really get a hit it. And when she became when Sarah
SJP.
Jessica Parker became executive producer, she had that power. But you
Yeah.
know what? Fair play to Kim Cattrall because she just bit down
Did.
and she got
And
on with it. She knew what she had.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And I guess it was a case of the fans, whenever they brought back just like that, the fans were praying that Kim would make a return to it, like the rest of the
And she
character,
didn't.
the rest of the actresses did. But she did make a very small cameo, I think, if you remember. I think
Sitting
it
in
was,
the back of the car.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm,
But I think it is a case of she knows she
not
has
the
a
same.
lasting legacy and it'll never be the
Yeah.
same, you
Yeah.
know? But anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about that. So please, if you're looking for something new to watch and you've got a Disney Plus
Mm,
subscription, go to Disney Plus Star. It's all 10 episodes are available just now. And again, it's called Mid-Century Modern.
mm.
Well worth a watch. Hi. But I wanted to move on and very quickly.
Okay.
It's,
Right.
have you seen the crisis that's going on this week with Prince
Is it,
Harry?
yeah, the royal crisis?
It is like
Oh,
it
yes. I
is.
mean, anything to do with Prince Harry, it doesn't matter what he does. He's always going to do wrong.
I know. So
He's always going to do wrong.
the story this week is that he has a charity that he'd set up called Sentebale.
Mm-hmm.
And there's basically this resignation crisis that's going on at the moment. So the charity was
Mm-hmm.
set up, it was co-founded with Prince Harry in 2006 and Prince Seiso of Lesotho. And in March 25, Harry and some of the trustees had to resign, basically because they cited there was a loss of confidence in Dr. Sophie Chanduka. Now, this Dr. Sophie alleges that there was harassment and misogynoir. And this is a new word for me.
Mm.
I've never heard of misogynoir, but
Misogynoir.
it's like misogyny, which is obviously a
Mm.
distaste or a disdain for females, but
Mm-hmm.
misogynoir is a disdain or a distaste for females who are of color,
Yeah. I,
which was new
it's
to me.
the
Never
first
heard
I've
that
heard
before.
of it. Never heard of it before.
Now, I should point out at this very, very
Mm-hmm.
stage that all claims have been denied, even though she
Mm-hmm.
alleges there was harassment. Harassment? There was harassment. But the UK Charity Commission has now had to investigate. Do you know
Well,
that way? But
well, they would have to, obviously, because he's from the United Kingdom and
yeah,
he's always going to be a prince. So they need to investigate. But you know what? Prince Harry's not stupid.
no, no.
Something's brewing and something's going to go wrong. And the fact that he had to walk away and he wasn't the only one.
Mm,
So it's not like he just done this himself.
mhm.
There was a few of them, which
Yeah,
has left this lady making all these claims. And of course, it
yeah,
has to be investigated properly because if it's true,
yeah,
then it's awful.
yeah.
And
Well, I
then if
hope
it
it's
isn't,
not. I
yeah,
hope it's not.
exactly. Exactly. I hope it isn't either. And I hope that, I hope they get it sorted out.
Yeah, well, I know, I
They
agree.
do.
But what do you think about the most recent sort of reports about him as in Prince Harry and Meghan? Because there's been this sort of view that they've had diverging public lives, right? So
Mm.
she's went out now and she's released her own podcast called Confessions of a Female Founder. She's now set up all of these brands. And there was this famous quote by a PR expert called Mark Borkowski, which basically he said that together they shook up the monarchy. Now one is
Hmm.
building a brand and the other is losing his. Do you think that
Oh.
that's a fair assessment? Because I know that she's come under a lot of flack.
Uh, you know what? If it works in their favor by kind of sort of creating this impression that one might be going against the other, one might be gaining and one might be losing, and that's what's worked for them in the past.
Mm,
I feel that Meghan came forward with their story with the sit down with Prince Harry and Oprah Winfrey
yeah,
and made some huge revelations that caused absolute bedlam,
yeah,
But to me, it's all just publicity.
yeah,
We need people to buy in. We need people to sit and read. We need people to watch. We need people to be talking about this,
yeah,
So to create the hysteria for people to get involved. Oh, have you heard? And the next thing, boop, they're buying into it and they're searching
yeah,
for it online and then they're subscribing because they need to know they want to be a part of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting. I kind of see that she's got all of these kind of like very public things. She's got a
Mm,
Netflix series about the things that she does around the house and so on. She's got this podcast. She's got these brands and so on. I
mm-hmm,
just sort of feel that maybe I don't know whether he's just took a step back and maybe it's because of the publicity that's been brewing over the issue with the Sentebale
mm,
charity. And maybe that's the
mm.
right time. Maybe PR people have said, actually, you probably want to just take a step back. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's true.
he was heavily involved in the Invictus
The
Games,
schemes, that's
you
right.
know, And obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around his sort of public service and the security because
Mm-hmm.
wasn't he was denied publicly funded protection while he was in the UK because he's no
That's
longer
right.
considered a royal. But
Yeah.
then I also read that there was this court case where he was also told that he could not privately fund his protection either.
That's right.
So he's now left in this situation where he can't have any protection if he returns home, which I find really like if he's wanting to pay for it himself, then why would we not allow him? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other thing is, I mean, he's been denied any sort of level of protection,
yeah,
allegedly,
yeah,
and it's more or less saying, well, whatever happens to you, it's your own fault.
yeah,
We've told you and to set those terms and conditions on a human being, to me, I found that remarkable,
yeah,
really remarkable. Even when he wants to fund his own security to protect himself and his family, of course, and you're told no.
yeah.
It's absolutely wild,
I
and
know.
it's another story for the press too.
I know. Anyway,
It really is.
let's move on to happier things, Lexi.
Yes, sun's out, grumps out. The
Sorry.
great weather. I think it's a big divide, to be honest about. And I think we should talk about the weather. Okay, so listen to this. So in 2019, a YouGov poll found that 94% of Brits discuss the weather weekly. And
Okay,
it's a natural socially bonding topic more than anything else.
I could
Now,
well believe that. I
yeah,
could well
the
believe that.
sunlight boosts serotonin and vitamin D levels, right? 15 to 30 minutes daily can improve mood and mental clarity.
So,
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but actually, it's really funny. So, before we jumped on to record, I had a conversation
Yes.
with a colleague in work, and one of the things she was talking about was we were just talking about how we were feeling and so on, and
Yeah.
she had said, how's things with you this week and so on. And I was sort of, I don't know whether it's just the weather, but I actually feel
Mm.
that like everybody around me is just a little bit more happier. Do you know
Yeah, they
that
are.
way?
Yeah.
But I think then that there's maybe some truth in this. We've literally
Yeah.
had like 4 or 5 days of gorgeous weather. I think everybody's mood is just
Has lifted.
positive.
It
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really has lifted, and it's been constant blue skies. It's been temperatures of over 15 degrees. And did you
Hmm.
know this for a fact? Did you know this? Lack of sun is linked to seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD.
So I did know about this. And actually, again, I
Right.
had a conversation, I think it was around sort of like January. I felt that
Mm-hmm.
I was severely suffering from seasonal
Mm-hmm.
affective disorder because
Yeah.
I found myself getting up in the morning and I couldn't really, when you're supposed to wake up in the morning, you're supposed to go, right, which version of myself do you
Mm.
want to be today? That kind of
Yep.
question.
Yep. 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 Yep.
I couldn't just shake the version that I knew that I shouldn't be, if you know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So I totally believe that there is some sort of seasonal affective disorder. I'm bought into that one for sure.
Well, today is going to be one of the hottest days so far this year. It's going to reach at least 20 degrees,
Wow.
which is
Okay.
marvelous. It's gorgeous. We're stuck inside recording the podcast.
Yeah.
Complaints would range from hay fever to sleepless nights.
Yeah, but
Do you
it
ever
was,
get that in? How do you get sleepless nights? Hay fever?
I do get, I don't get hay fever, but I get sleepless nights and I really
Oh,
struggle when it's too warm outside, particularly when you're on
oh,
holiday. Like, you're under the covers, you're out of the covers, you're under the covers, you're under the, like
you're
you're in
tossing
and
and
out.
turning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never
You're like a
happy.
scrambled egg.
Never happy.
No. Well, listen, a classic British forward slash Irish trait is grumble no matter what the weather. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, we've
And
all complain when
you
it's too
can't win,
warm, complain when it's too
complain when it's too
cold.
cold, you know. But because I also want to put this out there, and we're all enjoying the weather, and skirts are getting shorter, and sleeves are becoming strings. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
And like, hello, spaghetti strings. And so folks, if you're watching and listening, this weather's going to last for at least another 10 days. So,
Oh,
a little bit of Tina and Glenn. Summer essential advice: SPF 30 plus sunscreen is needed
oh god, yeah.
because UV causes 80% of skin aging.
Definitely
And
don't wanna be looking older.
that's from the British Association of Dermatologists.
Okay.
And dun, 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 sunglasses with full UVA and UVB protection
Mm,
is so important. I have my own glasses for driving.
Yep.
I
Yep.
always wear my sunglasses for driving.
Yeah.
And also, this is what I love, and you know I love every year. I have the big, gorgeous, juicy, fat gay barbecue and that gardening surge
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
sunny spells, and
Yeah.
everybody's out. And I love it here where I live because when it becomes, you hear the lawnmowers going, the
Yeah.
grass cutters going, the hedge trimmers going,
Yeah.
and everybody's on their knees. And you know where I live is a very green. It's so lovely, and we have big mature trees and all outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I do. I love it. I love it. And here's, do you want another wee fun fact? Where do you hear
Go
this?
for it. Trivia. The trivia is pouring out of us today.
Yes. So soil contains a bacterium, right?
Right. Okay.
That's called Mycobacterium vaccae that boosts serotonin.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, what you're saying is we need to be out in the sun,
Yeah.
rolling around in
In
soil.
the soil. Yeah. Or if you're, say, for instance, if you're like a beginner's gardener,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
you're doing a little bit, and you're compost and soil, and you're potting plants, and you're digging up the garden. It's actually very good because it does boost your serotonin.
I'm sure
It
it
really,
does. They
yeah.
say, and I suppose I suppose like from a wellness point of view, it's calming as well because
Mhm.
you're actually, you're not having to think of anything stressful.
No,
Yeah, that would
no,
make
you're
sense.
definitely not. And also, like, obviously with health and climate concerns, the NHS advises avoiding direct sun between the hours of 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Mm,
Skin cancer rates are rising. Did you know that over 16,000 people in the UK had melanoma cases in 1 year?
wow. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Did not know
And
that. No.
in 2022 was the hottest year on record in the UK and Ireland.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I vaguely remember something about the 2022 because that was the year we were sort of like, we're in lockdown, weren't we? And everybody was in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Well,
that?
I think we were coming out of lockdown,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we had really good weather in the first lockdown this time 5 years ago, and that March to into April was just spectacular.
I remember that vaguely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 2 years later, when it was 2022, and we just all got back to normal, and we're all getting on our feet, and we're all doing what we're supposed to do, we got another blast of really good, like 22, 23, 24,
Yeah.
for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
rest was quite reasonable. Was very dry. It was very, very dry. I mean, why do you think we're so obsessed with weather chat?
I don't know. I think it's because we're so impacted by it here on the
Mm,
island of Ireland, and like we are so impacted by it.
yeah.
There's always we're either living under a permacloud and we're just grey skies forever, or it's
Yeah.
raining. And then anytime we get a lovely day outside, it's like we have to talk about this amazing thing that's happened about how it's such a lovely day outside, that way.
Yeah,
It's
that's
it's
true.
easy chat. It's hairdresser questions, isn't
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it really is. And I suppose, sometimes, I mean, sometimes I've heard conversations where it's too warm. Just I couldn't guess it too warm. So it
it?
is. Well, go back
Yeah.
into the friggin' house. Shut your mouth. Do you know what I mean? And then they're moaning when it's raining and moaning when it's not here. Do you think
Yeah.
we're seeing a shift from moaning to mindfulness about climate?
Yeah, for sure. I think people are maybe starting to wake up. And I say wake up, that's probably not the right expression to use. Maybe pay attention, maybe a bit more
Yeah, we
about
need to.
some of the
Yeah.
climate, the sort of the impact of climate. We had those really bad
Mm.
storms not that long ago, like which were pretty
That
hairy.
storm we had in January, Storm
Yeah,
Eowyn,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we were all on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember we joked
Yeah.
about the whole of Ireland was in lockdown, and in the middle we were amber?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
You remember? And it was like, so the 110 mile an hour winds are going to scoot all around Northern Ireland so we can go
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, no, I remember, but it wasn't like the fastest it was
Yeah.
recorded was like 145 miles per hour or something like that, which was
Absolutely. And
bonkers.
listen, it's only going to get worse if we don't do
No.
something about it. But we're average Joe.
Yeah.
We will all pull together when needs be. It's those idiots who are pushing pens onto paper and thinking, we'll be all right.
Well, they're
You know?
not a lot of those people aren't gonna be here. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
It's gonna be our kids or our kids' grandkids that are really gonna have the
I
worst
know.
effect. We'll be long gone, you
So
know?
we will. So we will. Oh,
Um,
listen. But anyway, there's something else I want to talk about.
oh,
Are
this is
you
interesting.
ready?
Go for it.
Celebrity Big Brother 2025. It's the
Oh, yeah.
star-studded showdown.
Oh, yeah. Right. When's it start?
You are now live on Sips and Giggles podcast. Please do not swear.
Swear.
It actually premieres tonight, 7th of
Oh,
April at 9 p.m. on ITV1 and also ITVX, and it's hosted by AJ Ajuju and Will Best.
oh, well, we should point out that this episode is going to be out probably the week after it started because we haven't yet discussed this, but I'm away on a holiday and we're pre-recording some episodes.
Oh, lucky you. Oh, gosh. No, I hope you have a lovely time.
Thank
But
you.
here,
Thank you.
do you want to know who the notable housemates are?
I'd like to know because I've sort of seen on like Facebook and stuff, people are saying, oh, such and such is rumored and so on, but I haven't
Mhm.
got the full comprehensive list. So tell me, who's been rumored?
Mickey Rourke.
No.
Yes. Do you know he's 72 years old now?
Jeez. I
Hmm.
didn't know he was 72, but did he
Yeah.
had like a real thing with plastic surgery a couple of years ago and it
Yeah,
completely
he
changed
got
his
the,
face, didn't it?
yeah, and he also, was he the one that got the six-pack in? He
Oh
got
gosh,
like
I
a
don't know.
six-pack in. I'm nearly sure he did. Well, he was also, he's a very famous Hollywood actor, of course, known for being in The Wrestler and Sin City.
Right,
So
okay,
he
okay.
is. So now I've never really heard of this one. Maybe you might be able to enlighten me. Jojo Siwa?
Oh yes, yes. So
Who's that?
she was most popular. She appeared in an episode of Dance Moms a
Oh,
long time ago beside her
I watched
mum.
that.
Yeah, so her mum was Jessalyn Siwa, and she was the one that
Okay.
was responsible for like, the whole craze of JoJo bows, and this was like the oversized bow in girls' hair. There was a whole craze that went on. She's actually, I think she's lesbian now, lesbian or bi, and
Oh, good for her.
she's now released music. Well, she's only 20.
Oh, right.
She's a
Okay. And
Barbie.
oh, do you know who else is in it? Ricky.
No, Patsy
Ricky.
Farmer.
Patsy
Oh,
Palmer.
wow.
Yes, the
Wow,
former
wow, wow.
EastEnders actress now turned DJ who lives in LA.
Okay.
And you know, Patsy Palmer is now 52 years old or young or whatever you want to say.
That's mad.
Isn't it?
That's crazy how time
And
has flew.
it is mental, mental. Now, this next person who's in, and I loved him. I loved him. He is a former Love Island star, and his on-screen charisma is what I fell in love with. And he is quite easy on the eye. Chris Hughes.
Okay, yes, yes,
You're
Chris.
you don't watch Love Island?
But I know who Chris Hughes is. He's nice. He's a nice
He's
boy.
nice.
He's a
Yeah,
nice
he's a
boy.
nice boy. Yeah, I think he will do very, very well. And then what we're going to do is when I call out all these contestants, you and I are going to pick who we think is going to win.
Okay, okay.
All right. Another one, Coronation Street. Wah, wah, wah,
Yeah,
wah,
yeah,
wah,
yeah.
wah. He's 37 now. Jack P. Shepherd.
David Platt, Neil Platt's
David
son.
Platt.
Yeah,
Yes, he's 37 now.
can't believe
I
he's
remember
37.
him. I remember him coming on to set. I remember him
Yeah.
on his first couple of episodes, and I thought, what a beep. And I still think that. No, I'm only joking. No, he's nice. Isn't it funny that Coronation Street characters really stick it out?
They do. They do. The ones that
Don't
stand the
they?
test of time. Yeah.
I think they're all standing because they're all looking at Ken Barlow and thinking, he must get that here, so I want to live forever, so I'll just keep working here. Yeah. And the TV talk show hostess of hostesses is
Oh.
the one and the only Trisha Goddard.
And now she was one that I did read that
Yes.
was rumored, but I didn't know if
Mhm.
that was true. But
Yeah,
I remember Trisha. She used to have her talk show on Channel 5. Do you remember?
that's right. That's
Or
right.
was it ITV?
Well, it was on ITV and then it went to Channel 5.
Right. Okay. And then
So,
Jeremy Kyle sort of took over from her, didn't he?
well, there was rumors going around that he was on it,
Oh, right. Okay.
but I think he was on it and then he was pulled because he done a program the other night with Kate
Hey, Garraway's Life
from
Stories.
Kate Garraway's Life Stories, and
Yes.
he
Yes.
didn't get
Yes.
a very good positive. They didn't get a very good positive reaction.
So I was a little bit conflicted about that because he dominated the conversation. Like when
Yeah,
she asked a question, he didn't wait till she'd finished speaking. He interrupted her. He talked over her.
yeah,
It didn't come across as somebody that was there to be interviewed. He was coming across as somebody that was there just to talk about him, really,
yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, moving on. See you later. Bye. So, and God love Trisha Goddard because she's recently opened up about her stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis.
Oh no, she's terminal, is
Yeah.
she? Oh goodness.
Well, I don't know if it is or not, but she's recently just opened up about it. So she's got stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis. So, I mean, she'll probably talk about it when she's on the
Oh God,
program,
well,
but
be
God love.
interested. I'd
Yeah,
love to be.
yeah.
Unfortunately, because I'm not going to be here. I'm going to miss half
Mm.
of this, but
Oh,
I
don't you worry. I'll
really,
keep
really
you
be.
updated, love.
Can't wait to hear all about it.
You know I am a prime stalker. And 66-year-old double Olympic gold medalist in the decathlon, Daley Thompson.
I have never heard of him.
Oh my
Never
God, I'm
heard of
old.
him.
I remember watching that man on TV and I was like, oh, back in the day, he was beautiful, beautiful. And he still is. He's a good looking man. Age is just a number. And I thought that man was lovely. And also, last but by no means least, 74-year-old former Conservative MP, known for his distinctive personality, the one and only Michael Fabricant. And that's spelled
Okay.
Fabricant. I said fabricant.
Fabricant.
In
So,
case people go, what did Tina say?
so I think I know who this guy is, and he, for a 74-year-old, still has. He's got a good head of hair, is what I would say. I don't know whether it's a good head of hair or it's a hair piece. But what I
Herpes.
will say is that it's a good head of hair.
Okay. Okay. Well, did you
Um,
know that the house has been relocated to a smaller venue,
I did not know
and
that.
they're removing the mezzanine floor, which may lead to
Oh, okay.
increased tensions among the housemates. So they need them to be closer together.
Oh, I see
So they
that.
do.
That tend to happen. I remember in the old series, they made the house a lot smaller and it made it feel a lot more
Yeah.
claustrophobic, and they
Yeah.
couldn't really go anywhere, especially
Hmm.
during arguments and stuff. But
Yeah.
the mezzanine, yeah, I always kind of wondered why the mezzanine was there because it had its own area. It was like even its own door and all. So it's kind of
Yeah.
just somewhere that they would go to bitch. It
Yeah,
didn't really make much sense.
when what you should be doing is having a fight or an argument, like a real verbal
Yeah.
scrap with someone live on TV. It's going to keep you popular, keeps you in. Do you know what I mean? Don't walk off and slam a door and sit on your own and cry and hope that you're getting all these viewings.
Yeah.
You're not. Stand there and stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also live audience interaction.
Oh,
The late and live spin-off. It's going to
okay. Yeah.
broadcast live from the garden once a week, which will be allowing housemates to hear real-time audience reactions and potentially stirring drama.
Don't know how I feel about this.
I do. I
I
think it's
don't know how
brilliant.
I feel about this. I'll tell you the reason why.
Okay.
When you're watching something like Big Brother, I think it's the idea of them not knowing
Yeah.
is, I feel, is the real appeal. And if you start
Mm-hmm.
giving them real time audience feedback weekly, then
Mm-hmm.
they're never really going to be their authentic self. They're going to be constantly changing and masking or
Mm.
adapting their behavior based on how they're being perceived, which means people aren't really going to be them true selves. And I think that's,
Yeah.
to me, is the overall arching appeal of something like Big Brother. It's this idea of there being a fourth wall, and by bringing people
Mm.
in, you remove this kind of element of the fourth, you're basically
Yeah.
you're breaking the fourth wall, is what I would
Okay.
say. But,
Well, I mean, who are you rooting for and who's likely to stir the pot?
well, I know that Jojo Siwa, I know she's quite fiery and she's obviously quite young. I
Yeah.
would say that there's a very good chance that she might have an encounter. I don't know enough about Patsy Palmer. I think part of the problem with Patsy is just that we assume she's exactly like her character, Bianca. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I
she
think
probably is, but I think I'm going to make a prediction, and I think that the winner will be Trisha Goddard.
you think
And it's only purely and because of the fact that she's a very smart lady, and she will know how to work this. She will. That's just my prediction anyway. Do you know
I
what I mean?
think
That's who I'm going to be rooting for. And
you're
I think to myself, will this cast dynamic deliver the iconic moments? Do you remember Julie Goodyear and the lady from EastEnders?
oh
And they
yes.
had that
Yeah, yeah.
secret mission where they had the argument, and she threw the glass. Not now.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And she
I I think the cast
splashed
is
her.
dynamic enough, yeah. I think having
Yeah.
the 74-year-old Conservative MP, I mean, there's quite a lot of older people I've noticed. Like there's Mickey
Yeah,
Rourke,
there
who's
is.
72. You said Trisha's 67, Daley Thompson was
Mm-hmm.
66. And
66.
you've got somebody there. what I tend to find with people who are kind of in and around that age is they just don't care. They'll just
Yeah, I
stay.
suppose.
They've had their moment in the spotlight. There's very little that sort of
Mm,
would be scaring them. And especially the
exactly.
74-year-old Conservative MP. Not only is he 74 years old and probably won't care, but he's a Conservative MP, which means he's quite used to just saying what he thinks, which I think
Probably.
that
Well,
in
then you
itself
see, yeah, I
might.
guess so. Do you know what? Do you think this season can live up to the hype?
I hope so. I'd
Yeah.
like to hope that it's old school Big Brother. I kind of enjoy that. As I'm saying, I just don't know about this format change
Mm,
where they're bringing the audience, and I think
yeah.
it might just influence them a bit too much. But who knows? It could shake it up, or it could.
Bring, I think bring back Divi.
I don't mind AJ and Will. I mean,
I know. I don't mind either.
Will's not too bad on the eye, I have to say. I mean,
Yeah,
AJ looks
that's true.
stunning.
He is
AJ looks
hot.
stunning.
He is hot. He really is.
I think the thing with AJ, it's that real thick northern accent. You know when she goes, "You're live on Channel 4. Please do not swear." The proper like Birmingham Brummie accent. You know
She
that
really
way.
does. She goes all brummy on your
She
ass.
does.
Like she
She
really,
does.
please do not swear.
Swear.
She,
But I don't mind them paired, to be honest. I think Davina for the nostalgia. I think that's really because she hosted it for
mm,
so many years, and she used to do that
aye.
weird. Just whenever Davina used to do that weird thing, she used to go, "Do you want another one?"
Yeah. I love that. I just thought she was lovely. And do you remember when she was pregnant with her kids? She was called Big Mama on her
Yeah,
t-shirts and all. It
yeah,
said Big
yeah,
Mama,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
Oh
yeah.
dear. But Lexi,
Well,
we
good
are
luck,
at
Big
the
Brother.
end of another episode. How about that? That was quite a journey. We
Oh
went
my
from
God.
Palm Springs to the Big Brother house.
And listen, if that didn't give you serotonin, go and stand outside in the sun for 15 minutes. Sunscreen on, of course.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. Listen, thank you so much for joining us on One for the Road. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your mate who still complains about too much sun.
Yes, exactly. And until next time, stay shady, but in a good way. I'll be
Lexi, it's
ready.
been a fabulous time. Chin
As always, my love.
chin.
Chin chin.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of G&T Sips and Giggles. If you've enjoyed our conversation, then don't forget to share it with your friends, and why not subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Your reviews mean the world to us and really help others find the show, so please take a moment to leave one. But be kind. If you'd like to support the podcast, why not consider joining us on Patreon? For the cost of a drink a month, you can listen to episodes early, access exclusive digital content, and get discounts to upcoming G&T shows. Your support helps us keep the conversation flowing. Cheers, we'll see you next time. Chin chin.